Manx Radio's Countryside is brought to you by NFU Mutual.
Hello and welcome to this week's Countryside programme. I'm Simon Clark.
And I'm Kiri Kermode. This week I popped along to the Curraghs Wildlife Park and spoke to the manager, Kathleen Graham.
And also Kiri and myself continue our look back at a very successful Traidelure sheepdog trials that happened on the Isle of Man a couple of weeks ago. Well, another packed programme to fit in, Kiri, on this week's one. We'll be hearing you chat to Kathleen Graham from the Curragh Wildlife Park very shortly indeed. But a couple of weeks ago, because we had a week off last week because of the moon landing programme, of course, celebrating the 50 years. And we were at the Traidelure sheepdog trials at Richard Crow's family's land at Bishop's Court. And we heard a couple of weeks ago from the winner and a couple of people that were involved in it. But there was plenty to talk to. There was a fellow from Italy there, the judge, the people that were second and third, Michael Taggart, who was doing the announcing there as well. Plenty. And junior winners as well. Yeah,
the junior young handler in Henry Harrison. What a lovely little man he was. 14 years of age, competing there with some of the world champions, Simon, and loving every minute of it. And his dream is to compete for England, come all the way from Cumbria with his family to have a go at Bishop's Court, and he thoroughly enjoyed it.
Indeed. Well, talking about world champions, Aled Owen was there. He's twice a world champion. It wasn't his weekend here in the Isle of Man, but a very interesting fella to talk to, and I caught up with him on the field. Third place today, but it swings about, doesn't it?
Oh yes, it does. Yes. Very pleased with the dogs. Cap was third, Glesney was fourth, and very happy with the way they both worked.
Yeah, and of course you've been in these trials all over Europe, possibly the other side of the world, have you?
Yes, New Zealand. I've been trialling in New Zealand, and of course on the continents, France and Belgium, Holland. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I was talking to Luca from Italy,
yes,
and he was saying that there's a lot of difference in the sheep as well. And do you find that when you go around different places?
Yes. Some places you get hill sheep, and other places you get these lowland breeds. The Texel Charolais crosses, and so you've got to have a dog that's capable of working both types or any type of sheep, really.
Yeah, and what about the dogs today that you've had? You've ran two, I think, this weekend.
Yes.
Is it always a good idea? Did you run one that's more experienced than the other always?
I try to run the unexperienced one first, and then the older one second. So, although both are experienced in a way, but that's what I tend to do. I've got a pattern of using the younger one to start off with.
Does it give you a feel for the sheep?
Yes, it does.
Well?
Yes.
And what about the training of them? Is that all done by yourself?
Yes, it is. Yes.
Yeah.
These two I bred myself, and I also owned the mother and the father, and it's a breed that's I started off about 40 years ago.
Really?
Yeah. So those the original female Jess is in all of my dogs now, and actually in a lot of the British Isles dogs.
Is that one of the traits when you get a good one, it sort of passes down in the bloodline?
Yes, it does. Yes. I'm looking for a particular type. Obviously you need a dog that's got, first and foremost is the temperament. Yeah. I don't like a nervous dog, but then of course you want a good looking dog, and mainly the brains, and that's the main ingredient, of course.
Yeah.
These border collies are so clever, but there are some cleverer than others.
And there's certain characteristics amongst them all, I suppose.
Oh, yes.
Can you train them all?
Not all of them. I can train them up to standard for farm work and so on. But these dogs, these two dogs that I've got with me this weekend, they're pretty special. And it's a pity that they're getting older.
Yeah.
Yes.
But you'll have more in the pipeline.
Yes, I have. Yes. I've got offsprings of both of them. Yes.
Yeah. But you've got a wonderful background and a success rate in sheepdog trials, haven't you? All over the countries.
Yes. I've won quite a few trials in my time. The main ones, of course, are the World Championships. I've won that twice, and the Supreme Championships 4 times.
Wow, it's a pretty good record, isn't it?
Yeah.
And coming to these sort of events, how do they compare to the Isle of Man? There's quite a good bit of support here because they don't see it very often.
No. Well, the venue's great, and the weather's been fantastic. Not too hot, but just nice for the dogs. And sheep have behaved really well, and fantastic trial.
Yeah, and what's next for you?
Well, actually, I'll be running in the Champion of Champions, which is the 4 captains of each country, England, Ireland, Scotland and Wales, at the Royal Welsh Showground in a couple of weeks. So that's the next one.
Well, Jed Watson, congratulations. Nearly at the top today, runner-up. Must be pleased, though.
Very pleased, highly delighted, and a lot of good runs, and yes, first would have been nice, but I'm highly delighted with Saxon.
Yeah, and it's certainly a good competitive field out there, wasn't it?
Oh yes, yeah, you've got some of the top hounders in the old country here.
Well, how did the Isle of Man course and sheep compare to all the other places that you go?
It's an excellent course, and the sheep have been true for the 3 days. You can't ask anything more of the field or the sheep. Been excellent.
Yeah, and a man who doesn't go to many of these, but when I've seen it on the telly in the past, there doesn't seem to be so many sheep in the shed and ring. There seems to be a scutch to them today.
No, a day, yeah, but that comes with the double fetch, and that's what makes the final so special. Is those 16 sheep, the collared sheep, just it owns in on what a dog should be doing correctly,
Yeah, and it's a marvellous example of the handler with the dog working together in it. That's just got to be the secret.
Well, it's all about teamwork.
Yeah, and where's next for you, I suppose? Did you go sort of Europe-wide?
No, I don't go Europe too many times, but I'm back in the West Country next weekend, so closer to home.
You'd be hoping to go one better?
I hope so, yes. I'm always trying.
Well, it's a brilliant result today, though, and well done on your second place.
Thank you very much. Highly delighted. Thank you.
I'm here now with Henry Harrison, who's travelled quite far. Where have you come from, Henry?
Sharp, near Penrith in Cumbria.
So tell our listeners, you're the youngest competitor here on the Isle of Man today. What age are you?
14 years old.
And how did you get into sheepdog trialling?
Well, I started off with one dog, and then I had a litter of pups out of her, and then I just got keen and started playing with them and got in them going.
And I take it you're from a farming family at home?
Yeah.
Keep sheep as well?
Yeah, sheep, yeah.
So what does it take to train your dog? You've got to make a connection. What work goes into it?
Well, you've got to have them out twice a day, 3 times a day, and doing all the basics with them. You've got to do all the basics before you start doing all the big stuff. And then...
So you just go into a field with your pup and you just give it a command and it'll go?
No, you go to a circled pen. I've got a circled pen up, and you start them off outside of it so that the pup doesn't know to grip them and start biting them. And then you work it outside of them and then put it inside and then start working in the field.
Goodness me. And do you think a lot of the success from a sheepdog event is by the breeding of the dog?
A lot of it counts on the breeding, but it's how you train it as well.
And how, now you're 14, how are you going to go on through the summer? Will you go to other sheepdog events, or what's your future?
I'll try and go to a lot of events, and try and get myself ready for the big ones.
You say big ones, where are these at now?
Well, I would like to come back over here, and I want to try and get points for the English national one day.
Well, let's get a word with John Brennan, the judge. It's been a fascinating 3 days.
It's been an enjoyable 3 days, and very good testing for the dogs. And the sheep are good and the course was good.
These sort of events, it's a good 3 days from all, because you all got a chance to do something, haven't they? And then the final today.
Exactly, yes, yeah. And there's a good few people watching today as well,
Yeah.
And yeah.
Does it add to the pressure when everyone else has their own little scorecards out and marking them themselves?
Well, yeah, you have to take that as part of the game, yeah. And hope most of them will agree with you at the finish, You have to make your own mind up, and yeah.
Do you still compete in it?
I do compete myself, yes.
Yeah.
In actual fact, this is my 40th year competing, so I've been around
What about how does competing compare to the judging? Is that equally as satisfying?
Well, competing is more satisfying than judging. Judging is more of a duty, I suppose, to pay something back for somebody has to judge, and to give something back, I suppose you judge.
It must be awkward, though. I mean, do you have to take into consideration how naughty the sheep can be?
Not a lot, really, because I accept in exceptional circumstances, because a lot of the time the sheep behave in reaction to the dog. There's a great instinctive understanding between animals, and sometimes they see a weakness in the dog and they play up a bit, and somebody who wouldn't be into the game would say, oh, he's trouble hard luck to get that sheep. But often it's a bit of a case of the sheep spotted a weakness in the dog and said, I'm probably able to get the better out of this fellow.
Did they ever see a weakness in the handler as well?
Well, in the shedding wing, they'll see nervousness in it. If some of the very good handlers are very relaxed in the shedding wing, and it relaxes the dog and it relaxes the sheep as well. They have animals that know if you're nervous as well. Yeah, they do. It makes a difference.
Michael Taggart, you've had a pretty hard job this weekend being the commentator of the sheepdog trials. How has it been generally?
It's been a great 3 days. Tremendous atmosphere, a lot of people over here. You don't believe that there's competitors come from Italy, Austria, there's competitors come from the Isle of Shetlands down to Cornwall and Devon, Dartmoor.
Gosh.
We have competitors from Wales, and we have our local competitors as well, and a few from Cumbria.
Goodness me, what an array of talent. But how do they get the dogs here though, Michael?
They've all come by steam packet. The dogs probably travel better than we do, actually. There's lovely trailers they've got, and they're all decked out. The Italian gentleman was telling me that he's competing in England for 2 months of the year because it's too hot to compete in Italy.
Goodness me. And there will be enough competition still going, sheepdog trials, you think it's a thing of the past maybe. Is this the case?
I think it's going to catch on again in the Isle of Man. It's certainly been lost maybe the last few years, but it's starting to catch on away in England. It is a big competition. The Welsh are really into it.
But you see them making good money. They're a sideline, and the sheepdog's essential for farming. But it's a diversification. You hear it all the time. You see the dogs making a good bit of money.
Well, apparently on Saturday there was one sold at Skipton for £10,000.
It's worth more than a car, but the value of these dogs, so in the working environment.
You can never give a quad has its uses, but certainly a dog, you have to have them, and it's somebody to talk to during the day. You know yourself, Kitty, you're quite often taking selfies with your dog.
You're not wrong, they're my best friends. And like you say, you'll go miles running yourself, because the sheep know when you haven't got the dog with you.
Oh, certainly. The sheep here today have come from Stan Skinner. They have been dogged. They've been used to a little bit of dogging, but they haven't been overworked with dogs, and they're not robots. And the competitors have all said that everybody's had a fair crack of the whip. The dogs would be tested. If the sheep could find a little weak point on the dog, that they would take the advantage.
Yeah. So you glad it's finished now? Your voice will be nearly worn out?
No, it hasn't been too bad. I've had a good microphone. The speakers have been a little bit crackly, but certainly it's been a good 3 days, and I think everybody's thoroughly enjoyed it. And all the competitors I've spoken to have all said they're coming back if we have one next year, and I think it's in the pipeline.
Well, Luca Feeney, you've travelled a reasonable distance to take part in the Isle of Man sheepdog trials.
Yeah, I come from Italy. I stopped last weekend in south of England for another trial, and then I've been here for the first time for me here in the Isle of Man. A good place, a very friendly trial, and I hope to come back next year again.
Oh, excellent stuff.
Yeah.
What about the Manx sheep? Were they troublesome?
Yeah. Well, but that's part of the trial. It's part of the game. So sometimes sheep are totally different from the sheep that we use in Italy. So that makes the difference between me and the others. I had a very good run on the field and bad work on the handwork. So that makes the difference.
How many dogs do you have with you?
I have 2 dogs with me that I run both in a trial here.
Yeah, and what about the difference between the sheep here in the Isle of Man and back home in Italy? What is the main difference? Are they more placid or?
Well, the main difference is that our sheep are more doggy, are more used with dog.
Right.
So a bit heavier than this, but easy to handle probably, and easy to pan, easy to shed. Different from this type of sheep that are a bit tough on on pan and shed.
But tough, but it's all a learning experience.
Oh yeah,
and
of
hope
course.
you've enjoyed it.
Of course, I enjoy, and I told you before, I hope to come back next year.
Brilliant stuff. Good to see you. And good to have you here.
Thank you.
Andrew Houston here at the Trade Lure Sheepdog Trials. You're very well travelled. Tell our listeners where you've travelled from.
I've come here from the Shetland Islands.
Now, that is a long journey.
I saw it on Facebook, and it's well presented, and I thought, well, I've never been there before, so I'll just have a go.
There you go. And how have you found it? How is the Isle of Man compared to Shetland Islands?
It's got trees. Shetland has no trees, and that's the most beautiful island, yeah.
Goodness me. And have the sheep been on your side this weekend?
Yes, they've been marvellous sheep. The whole course, everything, the organisation has just been immaculate. It's just, you couldn't better it. It's very impressed with how the thing has been run.
And how did you get on this weekend? It was a stiff competition out there.
Well, we're lucky that we had 2 days that we could, if we didn't do so well one day, we could have another go on the second day. So the second day was better than the first day, but I didn't manage to get to the final.
Goodness me, but the standard, I've been chatting with the judge earlier, he said it was really, really a difficult decision to come to. There was just some really, really good parts from everybody, and it was hard to split them at the end there. But will you be back?
Oh, definitely. I'll bring the wife next time so that she can enjoy this island.
That was some of the people at the Trade Lure Sheepdog Trials at Bishop's Court.
Wonderful event, wasn't it? And we say it was a couple of weeks ago, and we missed last week. But we thought we'd keep that audio because some fascinating people, and they all got different stories about it.
They really have, and they've travelled such a long way too, Simon. And the power of social media brought some of them there. But it's just lovely to see young people getting involved with the sheepdogs. You know, they're such an important part of the farm and enterprise, and they can outdo any jeep or quad. You know, it's lovely having them around as a companion as well.
Not the same shouting and telling your troubles to a jeep or a quad.
Not at all.
You're listening to Countryside here on Manx Radio with Kiri Kermode and myself, Simon Clark. Well, it's that season, I suppose, the peak times at the moment, and the kids will be off school for the Curragh Wildlife Park.
It is always busy down there at the Wildlife Park, and it's looking spick and span with abundance of new babies there, Simon, too. And I went along to speak to the general manager, Kathleen Graham, to see how the breeding programmes were going. Kathleen, it seems that the park has been very busy. Here we are 6 months into summer now. Births and birthdays, it's been very busy.
It's a great time. We've had a lot of activity at the penguin enclosure this year. So we're really pleased that we've got 4 chicks at the moment, and they're all going strong. They should fledge the nests at about 10 to 12 weeks old. So, but you are getting the odd glimpse of them. So we've got 2 in the 2 end nest boxes there. We've got one set of parents who have decided to nest outside, so sometimes you catch a little sneaky preview of that chick,
which we've been really lucky to see as well here now on this day, Kathleen.
Yeah, because sometimes the parents moved off, so we just saw them there stretch these little flappy flip wings, if you want to call them. So, and we've also got a set of parents in the igloo nest who are have a chick, and sometimes you can see that chick as well stood behind the parents. But we should start getting the first ones fledging the nest in about a couple of weeks' time.
Has this been the most successful year for the baby penguins?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, we were really pleased last year when we had quite a lot of nesting activity, and we got one chick, Charlie Chick, who's still here. You can still see him because he's still got his chick plumage from last year, so he's still easy to spot, but you'll molt that out pretty soon and become an adult. But this year they've really sort of taken off, if like to speak, for the breeding. And so we've had lots of eggs. We've still got a couple sitting on some eggs, so we'll see if that hatch out. But at the moment, we've got 4 good, healthy, strong chicks going strong, so fingers crossed they'll make it to adulthood.
You seem quite nervous, but as everything here in the Wildlife Park, it is going from strength to strength, Kathleen. And a little birthday, a very special birthday with baby Phoenix.
Yes, and the gentle lemurs are now out in the rebuilt enclosure, so we'll go down and have a little look at them, Kerry, as well. But they're really happy to be back out into that space in the new house. I mean, it was such a tragedy, but finally we've kind of got that exhibit finished. We're going to have a walk-in part. to the lemur enclosure. So that we hope to be open maybe for the summer, but we will have to rely on volunteers to man it. So it may only be open for an hour or two if we have a volunteer to sit there. So, I mean, if there's anybody who wants to hang out with the lemurs, has got a couple of hours to spare during the day, come and speak to us. You can maybe be one of the people who just make sure the lemur's safe and tell people all about how endangered the ringtail lemurs are and just hang out with the lemurs. This year we've had Acorn, the female, have twins, which has been great. Twins aren't unheard of, but they're more common in zoos and wildlife parks again because there's more resources. Very occasionally twins will be born in the wild. So Acorn had twins in March. And then we've had another female, Willow, who's had a single baby as well. So it's great that we've got 3 in the group. And the single baby is about 3 weeks younger than the twins, but has kind of caught up almost in size because the mothers had to feed 2, so they haven't grown quite as fast. But you see the 3 of them now, they're jumping off their mothers and they're jumping all about, and you see the 3 of them playing together as well. So it's really nice that we've got this new little band of lemurs. So that brings our ringtail group up to 9, so that's quite good. So hopefully maybe we'll have another year of breeding the ringtail lemurs as well before we might need to not keep growing. And although they're endangered in the wild and there's a breeding programme for them, they are numerous in zoos, so there's a big population there. So sometimes you have to think, actually, it's time to stop breeding. So our ideal will be just to keep a nice family group. But yeah, it's great to have baby lemurs. They are so cute.
And was it such a surprise to see twins? Because you expect 1, but 2?
Yeah, I mean, the keepers knew that she was going to give birth, but I mean, we don't ultrasound them or anything like that. So yeah, 2 popped out, so that was great. Sometimes it can be that 2 mothers have given birth at exactly the same time and they're sharing the babies, but this was definitely twins, so it's great. Yeah, double the fun.
But the same with conservation the world over, Kathleen. It is important that people do get involved, and you've got 2 great setups here in the new charity of the supporters of the Currachs Wildlife Park and also the Children's Academy.
A number of things going on. So we have the Supporters is the charity that helps us in regards to getting some of the enclosures, the extra things that we need. So they get banks and corporate groups involved and kind of helping do up the park and make things better for the animals. We have our conservation fund, which, when we're doing trails or badges and things like that goes in. But you can now, when you come to the park, pay an extra £1 on top of your fee. You can volunteer for that. You're not charged unless you say you want to pay it. But that goes towards the conservation fund. So it's really important that I think, we allow visitors to visit here and be able to make a difference to animals in the wild. Our Wild Academy, the younger week. If you've got a 7 and 8 year old, I think there's still a couple of spaces left for that week in August, and they spend a week at the park. They help make some feeds, they get to meet an animal every day, but they also learn about conservation, and there's a bit of art involved, and there's a bit of jumping on the jumping pillow. So it's a really great sort of action-packed week where they get to learn about animals and have fun. So the Wild Academy is always really popular. The trains are running every Sunday and on Thursdays during the school holidays. And in fact, we do the Thursday fun days. They're always really popular. I mean, basically, it's a few extra bouncy castles. But, I'm a parent myself, and I've been there when they're little. Sometimes you just want to let them go onto the bouncy things to have a little moment to relax to yourself. So as well as all the park and the animals, we've got that on a Thursday, and there's no extra charge. It's just the usual admission, but it does get busy. So if you are coming on Thursdays during the school holidays, come early, because sometimes the car park's full by about 11:30, or come by bus.
This is it, but everyone can still follow you on the social feeds. Recently, I just watched a video with the king vulture doing an impressive courting dance. It's all there. You can find out all the information online.
Yeah, no, we like to sort of show people what's happening in the park in the little snippets, because you can walk around the park and sometimes the otters aren't there because they're having a nap, but if you come back they'll be there. But the keepers are great as well at filming little clips of things that happen during their day, and then we can put that on the Facebook page and the Instagram. So we like to share that with our visitors and people who follow the park, just so that even if you can't physically be here, you can kind of keep in touch with what's happening.
And lastly, Kathleen, the opening hours for the summer.
Oh, we're always open, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Last admission's 5 p.m. But yeah, we're open every day. You don't need to worry about that. We're open every day right up until the end of the October, November half-term holidays. So you don't need to phone us up and ask if we're open. We're open.
That was Kathleen Graham, the General Manager of the Currachs Wildlife Park.
Yes, it's nice to have a walk around there. I've got my yearly pass, so I'll be able to go, because usually the young fella gets fed up within half an hour once his money's run out in the daycare and things. But so I just enjoy the walk around it on a lovely day. It's just lovely and peaceful and quiet, isn't it?
It's absolutely fascinating, and they've done it up so well, and the team building from all these corporate organisations come and spend a day, and at the minute, Simon, they are looking for people to man the gentle lemur enclosure, so you can go in and walk about with them, and they're right there with you in the pen. What an experience that will be. But the animals are thriving, and they're doing so well.
Yeah.
And what a great thing to have on the Isle of Man on our doorstep.
Not so many volunteers put the name forward to do the same for the puma enclosure. But we leave it there for this week's Countryside. Have you got anything for it, for the programme, or you think be good to feature on Countryside? Leave a message for Kiri Kermode or Simon Clark at Manx Radio, or send an email to countryside@manxradio.com. We'll leave it there for this week. We're back next week with more. So from me, Simon Clark.
And me, Kiri Kermode.
We'll see you then. Ta-ra.
Bye-bye.